Are your churches utilizing this kind of a process? Are you doing this reflective work in your small groups and in your ministries? Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I would like to talk to you about one of my most favorite things. It is called the Action Experience Model for critical reflection, or simply just the reflective process. And the reason it is one of my favorite things is because it can be applied to everything and everyone. So it can be used in small groups, it can be used in larger ministry settings, it can be used across the whole church, and it can be used for any work situation, anything that you're trying to accomplish in a group setting, or you can apply it just for your own self-improvement. It's a cycle that you can yourself work through to grow. Before we get started, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like this video, and then when you subscribe, hit the notification bell that is next to the subscription box so that you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. Did you know that the only way to grow is by reflecting? And what you do when you reflect is kind of process through what has happened. How have I responded? How have others responded? And what does that tell me about who I am, who others are, what these situations have been like, why they were like that? And then you get to, it leaves you with the best information on what you could try next. No one can control other people, including how they respond to you and whether they respond. But how they respond and whether they respond can teach you a lot and tell you a lot about what's effective and what is ineffective. So while I can't make somebody respond to me the way that I want them to, I could try asking, I can try begging, I can try pleading, I can explain everything that I can come up with for how and why I want someone to respond in a particular way, but I can't make someone do it. So what this process does is it puts me back in control, because it tells me what my opportunities are that I can work on and change in myself, how I can become adaptable, as well as what I can throw out and rule out because it's ineffective, it's not working, it's not practical, it's wasting my time and energy as well as everyone else's. And it can help point me in the direction to where I believe I'm going to see positive change. So if you think of babies, when their teeth are coming in, it's a fun and exciting time because you're watching something grow and develop and change on them that's going to help them chew and process their food, as well as learn how to speak. But the actual growth process for babies and toddlers is really uncomfortable. It's actually painful because the new teeth have to break through really sensitive skin, and that hurts. And so during the teething process, the babies are drooling, they're over salivating, and they're crabby because they're not sleeping well. They get fevers. They're just usually not very happy campers, but once the teeth break through and they're grown in, we all know that it's more useful to have teeth than not. It's more of a benefit for us to have them. But the actual process is hard. So learning is actually, information gathering is not actually the hard part. It is a discipline. But in order to learn, we actually have to grow and expand into a new mindset. We have to let go of things that we were once holding on to, even things that seem really important to us and dear to us. So change is always a struggle, and growing and learning is change. As you're replacing what you formerly knew with something that you didn't have before. So any thriving ministry will be thriving because it is a community that assesses what is happening, what is the experience that they're getting. So we could start with what's going on right now, what's happening right now, what are we doing, what are we about, how are people feeling, are people participating, and are people responding, how are they responding. So the experience is literally either starting from scratch and just figuring out where everyone is at and seeing, hey, we want to try to do something together, or it can be we've already been through this cycle of trying to decipher what we want to do, and now the experience is living out our plans, our best laid plans. So if we just start with experience, we're really just looking at what is happening, what are we doing, what's going on. And the next step would be analysis or debriefing. So when we debrief, we're trying to capture as best as we can what happened and what the experience was like. So we ask questions like, what was the experience like for you? And we answer that ourselves as well as we collect that information from the participants. So you're just first starting with just overall feedback. Secondly, you want to get more pointed and ask, where did you maybe feel stuck or afraid? And or where did you feel affirmed or excited? And then we can ask, where have you experienced God or encountered God? Where have you seen God in this whole thing that we've just tried to do, that we've just carried out? And the learning that comes with review is, what are we learning about ourselves individually? What are we learning about each other, one another, or other people? And what are we learning about God? What is this telling us about God? We also want to ask, what did you expect from this experience, or what were you hoping was going to come through the execution of this plan? What were you thinking you were going to get out of it? And what surprised you? Either what caught you off guard, or what was new and something unexpected that really blessed you, or really spoke to you, or stood out to you in a way you couldn't have guessed. And we also ask, so what is God teaching us? That's all and more that we can do with debriefing. And again, that's just the part of assessing, like, what is happening here, what has happened, and what can we glean from it. So then the next step in the critical reflection process is reflecting. And that is really going deep into what this tells me. What does this tell us? What does it all mean? What things might we want to keep doing or trying? What things do we want to see if we can improve or change? And really, in asking and answering these questions, we want to share that together. We want to reflect our observations and what we think it might mean or might be indicating for us to each other, to see if we agree, if we are thinking the same way. And if not, what else might that indicate for us? So in reflecting, we're zeroing in on where God is in the experience, in the experiment, in carrying out our plans, where God might be pointing us and in what directions next. Do we keep doing the same things? Do we want to tweak and improve them? Do we want to scrap and start again? And then, so that leads us to the fourth step in the process, which is action, where we decide to either begin something new or bring some needed change to what we are doing, to what we have been doing. So in the action step, we're deciding how we will respond. So that whole thing is a cyclical process, and if you are not doing that yourself, or if you're part of a ministry that is not doing that, it's not a good sign. You're being stagnant, or the ministry is being stagnant, and stagnation, while it doesn't lead to change or growth, it actually means you're flatlining, And that can mean death for an organization or a ministry. If you don't change or grow or adapt, you're missing out on living life to its potential. You're missing out on the potential to live a fuller, more meaningful life. We can't know what we don't know. So once we even catch a glimpse of something that we didn't know about that will enhance us, or that will tell us that we're on the right path, confirm for us that we're on the right path, or tell us that we're not, we'll just keep going on the same path, or we'll keep sitting in the same place, and we're missing out on what else there is to discover and appreciate that will enhance us. So again, kind of in a nutshell, as you practice, you're experiencing, you're experimenting, you're trying things out. Whether you're starting brand new or trying something new, or testing out any changes that you made to try to improve, you're carrying out your plans. And at points along the way, you're gathering evidence for analysis, you're debriefing. What can we learn? What is this telling us? What do we know about ourselves? What do we know about God? And then we're taking those things and further reflecting. Do we want to keep doing the same things? Do we want to try something new? Do we want to make improvements? Do we want to trust that maybe God is leading us to something that we couldn't have imagined before? And then it goes back to experimenting and testing things out and living out your best laid plans. So this is a cyclical thing. And if you're not doing that yourself, or if you're part of a church ministry that is not doing that, you're flatlining. And the missed opportunity is that you're not being transformed. You're not growing if you're not doing this process. So if we think about just becoming aware through assessing what's going on, just naming what's happening, what do I see, how is it affecting me, how do I see it affecting or impacting others or not, how is it not impacting others, and how are people not responding even. That's just becoming aware of what we're doing. And that leads to understanding, deeper understanding on what is going on. Are we actually doing what we said we were going to do? Are we carrying our plans out? Have we deviated from them and gone back to old patterns and fleshing out old former expectations that we wanted to get rid of? And just getting a handle on what is really going on. So that really increases our understanding. So as our awareness and understanding are increasing, then we can do that real concrete work of evaluating. And that's where we debrief and reflect. And that leads us to start making plans for what we want to try next. We're going to experiment again. We're going to make new plans. We're going to take some action. And we take that new action, or we try those improvements because we're making new commitments for who we want to be ourselves, how we want to be as a community, and what kind of changes that we want to see inspired. So it's awareness, understanding, evaluation, experimenting, and then commitment. These are the components of the phases of transformation. And if we're not growing, we're not being transformed. If it's not a little painful or a little difficult, I don't think that we're challenging ourselves. And again, you can do this just yourself for your own practice. You can evaluate your relationships with other people. If you're married or dating someone, you can do this within your family groups, teams at work, small groups, and ministry efforts through church. You can use this to assess whether or not you are learning and growing in whatever areas of competence you're trying to achieve. So I love this. This is one of my favorite topics, and I took a whole course on this stuff, and it can go really deep. If you just search for practical theology model or diagram, the critical reflection process, you'll get just a plethora of information and diagrams on this, and I think it's useful and fun to go through all those, but this is hopefully just a little bit that I can share with you and bring this back to your places of work, bring this into your marriages, bring this into your friends groups. Make sure that your churches and the ministries you're part of are doing this. So just a raw example of how I'm utilizing the critical reflective model is in just doing my YouTube channel. So the whole purpose of me doing the YouTube channel is practicing how to preach, like getting just experience putting together sermons and seeing how I deliver them. And if you even like them, if you're watching, if you're engaging with them. And I also just want to share the cool things that I have learned that I think are cool, that have really helped me and enhanced me in my life, and that I want to keep utilizing and I want to share with everyone. Those things are my experience or my experimentation. Literally what is happening. I am making videos and seeing what happens. As part of the analysis and the debriefing, what I am hoping to get, because I am not able to gauge whether or not you are engaged with me, because I realize I haven't been very good about asking good questions. What I'm hoping for is neat discussions happening. So I'm hoping to bring up information or insight or valuable information to you. And then I would like you to be able to share with me whether it's helpful or useful, and even give me some of your own experiences so that you can show me how you have or would apply this information, how it might change and enhance how you view things and how you engage the world, or if you just don't agree with me. I'm hoping for more of that, and I'm not getting very much of it. So that tells me, rather than just thinking, well, a person who hasn't learned or isn't in taking on a learning posture might say, well, my subscribers they're lazy. They don't want to engage with me. But I don't think that's true. I think you guys live dynamic lives, and the fact that you even watch these videos means a lot to me. So what it tells me is my opportunity might be to just ask better questions so that I get better feedback. And in reflecting on that, I'm realizing that God really is a God of community. We thrive in our faith and the action that we take better when we're with one another than alone. So in order to get a sense of whether this is useful or enhancing, I need you. So that tells me that God created people to not be alone, right? That confirms one of the bases of my faith, my beliefs. So the action then that I need to take, I believe, based on all of this, is asking better questions. So regarding this video, when and where can you identify that you have used some of this process? And what have your results been? What might be an area that you want to try applying this? One thing that, again, this tells us is that we can't control other people, but we can control how and what we ourselves do and how we approach other people and what kinds of expectations are helpful or not. So it puts the ball back in our own courts. Instead of blaming or being down on other people, it helps us to be proactive and to be more thoughtful and more engaged ourselves. So it's, positivity breeds positivity. Negativity leads to more negativity, and I don't want to go down that road. Where in your life have you used this type of a model, and or where might you try using it? So I appreciate you thinking about that and reflecting back to me. You can leave comments down below. You can leave them on many points of contact on social media. I hope this is helpful and good information, and thank you so much. See you next time.